Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today is going to be a good one because I'm talking about something that comes up a lot. Maybe not a lot. It used to come up a lot more, but when you're thrifting, DIYing, or trying to save money, and that is the difference between being cheap and being frugal. So they sound so similar, but they are so different. And honestly, knowing the difference is what has helped me save money, save time, and still do the projects and decorate our home and do all the things as I want to. To be completely honest, I used to be cheap. So now that I know listen, frugal sounds so much better, and I am frugal. I always have been. But when I first started out, I was cheap, especially in my projects. And I'm going to go over some different scenarios because being cheap is fine, but it's learning these things that will make the biggest difference. And being frugal is just so much better because you're going to save so much time, stress, tears, and all the things. So I love a good deal. I will dig through a thrift store for the $2 treasure, and I will wait for something to go on sale before I buy something. I'm also the person that will walk in a store and see something that I like, and then I will walk out of that store and say, okay, in 3 days, 4 days, 2 days, whatever, if I'm still thinking about it, if I'm still wanting it, then I'll go back and get it. I love to shop the clearance sections. So I'm all about all that. Stopping at yard sales. Like if I can get a better deal, a better price on something, I'm going to do that. Being cheap is about spending the least amount of money possible, no matter the quality, the impact, or the long-term cost, right? Being frugal is about spending your money wisely so that it works hard for you and aligns with, your goals or your project or your whatever, right? Depending on what you're spending money on. So I always want to look for the cheapest price on something, or if I can get a better deal for something. I used to be the person that had a coupon binder back in the day when coupons were so much different. But there's a big difference. So let me just kind of paint a picture and kind of give you some examples of being cheap versus being frugal. And tell me which one you are. Like I said, a lot of these, we started out being cheap. And I'm going to be honest, that was my dad. He's now in a nursing home. He was always cheap. And so sometimes now we find ourselves, he can no longer help us, but we will be doing projects or we'll be flipping these houses. And it's like, no, we're not doing that. Like that's the cheap way out of it, but it doesn't hold up, or it doesn't, we'll have to redo it in a month, or you know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's like, that's how dad would have done this thing, but let's just spend the money now. And then we won't have any heartache or have to redo it later or whatever. So my dad, bless his heart, he taught Matt and I everything. Like from our own projects in our own home, we helped him flip some houses, to now doing that on our own and doing our own projects and, in our home and things. He taught us everything. So, but there's some lessons that we learned too. So let me go through these, and then I would love to hear from you. Which one are you? Cheap or frugal? So paint and prep. Cheap is skipping the primer to save $20. And then being frustrated when stains bleed through, or whatever the wood is, bleeds through your beautiful paint job. Frugal is using the right primer up front because it will give you a professional finish and actually save you from having to redo the piece. So again, when we started out, I'm like, I don't need to buy that primer. Are you kidding me? We'll just go ahead and paint it. And every single time, the stain or whatever it was that I was painting, it would bleed through. So we were there. We just aren't anymore because we've learned. Tools. Cheap is grabbing the $6, $5 paintbrush from the store and fighting the brush strokes and then the shedding of the bristles when you're working. I have done that. I did that forever, and it was so frustrating. And then if you like you're painting a piece and then you didn't catch the bristle, and then it all dries, and then you pull the bristle off and then you can see the indentation of the bristle and where it was. And so you're having to sand it all over, and it's just a nightmare. That's one tool. That's just a great example because it's something that I did all the time. Spend some money on some paintbrushes. I'm not saying they have to be $50. My favorite paintbrushes are not expensive, but they're good paintbrushes. So Frugal is buying one high quality brush that you can clean and that will last you dozens of projects, right? Those cheap ones, you can't even clean them well enough they just don't last. So here's one if you are a furniture flipper, or looking for furniture to make over for your house, to sell, whatever. Cheap is bringing home a $5 chair, dresser, chest of drawers, whatever, that's wobbly, cracked, missing some drawers, and just not worth the repair. Just because it's $5, you pick it up. Frugal is spending a little more on a solid wood piece of furniture with good bones, one that you can flip for profit if that's what you're doing, or actually enjoy in your home. This is another one. So when I was first starting out flipping furniture, I picked up anything I could. And I think it was really good for me because I learned so much. Like, there wasn't the internet like there is now and people teaching you how to do that and everything. So obviously the reason that all happened is so that I could learn it, but I would pick up anything. Now since what I do is so different, I have to really love a piece or have a piece be like a hutch or a buffet. Those are harder to find. I don't come by those like I do dressers. And so if I find those in good condition, 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to pick them up. Just because they're fun to make over for me. But I am not buying those $5, Matt will even be somewhere and he'll message me and he'll be like, hey, I see this dresser, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, open the drawers. Do they work well? No, this drawer needs to be fixed. And this would and I'm like, no, it's a definite no. No, I don't want it. But in the beginning, and when you're like in the thick of it, and if you need pieces to flip and you're, making money doing that, obviously you're going to pick those up, right? If you know how to fix them. But that's just kind of the difference between being cheap and frugal. And here's another thing that I teach inside the Furniture Flipping Academy as well. You don't have to buy the cheapest furniture to make the most money. Let me say that again. You don't have to buy the cheapest furniture to make the most money. Those pieces that you're going to spend up for, they're going to be worth more, right? And then when you get them done, they're going to be worth more. So just keep that in mind. Finishes. So cheap is using whatever leftover top coat you have lying around, even if it's yellowed or it's too shiny and then you hate the finished look. Frugal is using a product you trust because you want the piece to last and look amazing for years. Again, this was even something that I would skip back in the day because it's like, I just don't want to pay for that. I don't want to pay for that extra product. Here's a little plug that was not planned, but the Silk all-in-one paint that I love to use has the primer, the paint, and the top coat all in one. So that is like, if I would have had that back in the day, do you know how much time, money, and effort that would have saved me? You have no idea. It's great for beginners. It's great for people that have been doing it for years and years and years. It saves you so much time. We will link that paint in the show notes. Here's the next one. So first of all, time you cannot get back. You can always make money, but you cannot get time back, right? I'm taking a quick break from the episode to share some exciting news with you. If you have ever wanted to flip furniture for extra cash, a creative outlet, or to build a business but didn't know where to start, there's never been a better time. My Furniture Flipping Academy is now just $79, which is over $200 off the original price. Inside, you'll learn how to find amazing pieces on a budget or for free, how to transform them step by step, sanding, painting, staging, all the things, how to price and sell for real profit, and even know how to work with brands to grow your flipping business in more ways than you know. And that's just the start. There is so much more waiting for you inside the Academy. We have so much packed inside the Academy. It's completely self-paced. Once you buy it, it's yours for life. There are no deadlines. There's no pressure. We do have a sneak peek inside the link in the show notes. It will give you a glimpse inside the Academy. And here's the truth. Nothing changes unless you do. You can keep waiting for the right time, or you can take this step now. At $79, the price isn't holding you back anymore. So stop hesitating. Stop making excuses. Click the link and get started today. So cheap it always means you're cutting corners, like not sanding before you work on a project, rushing through the prep, you're not cleaning it very well. It usually means you're going to spend twice the time fixing it, redoing it. Mistakes are going to show up. The paint's not going to stick, blah, 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 right? Frugal is taking the time to prep it right from the start. So you're not wasting materials and your time, because you can't get that back, right? It's just one of the, and to be honest, that took me a long time to learn. It's like, Lindsay, you're wasting so much time just to save $5. Like, honestly, it's not worth it. Okay. Home decor. So when you're buying things for your home, cheap is buying random clearance items that don't match your style and end up in a box in your basement. Okay. So another favorite topic of mine is organizing and just having a uncluttered home. So this one, I could really spend another 30 minutes just talking about this. Stop buying things that are just because they're on sale or clearance. Stop doing that. And that's the only reason you're buying them is because, oh, it's such a good deal. But you don't need them. You don't ever see them. You just put them in a box. Then it's worthless. You're just throwing that money out, right? Frugal is waiting until you find a piece that fits your home perfectly, or DIYing something that truly makes you happy every time you see it. Frugal is, you do not have to decorate, or let's say you're going to redo a room or you're moving into a new space and you feel like you have to decorate it and get it all done in 1 week. Live in it for a while without buying a thing. Live in it and see how you're going to use the space. See how you're going to live in the space, what you actually need, and then curate things over time. For me, I love to go to thrift stores, yard sales, estate sales, church sales. I love to find those just unique, pieces that aren't just hanging in every Target. I mean, I love to go to stores as well, but I really like a curated, home. And if I redo an area or a space, it's going to sit empty for a while until I find those perfect pieces to go in that space. It's kind of like I started a little gallery wall in our family room, and there's areas that are completely bare. Like, it looks kind of funny, but I'm not just going to throw anything up there. I don't want to run into Target and just buy 8 of the same things to hang up there. Paint colors. Okay, so this is another one this was so me. Cheap is settling for whatever mist-tint paint color is available at, Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, even though it doesn't match your vision. Frugal is waiting for a sale and getting the exact color that makes your space feel like you. I have done, I don't even know how many projects back in the day with the mist-tinted paint. The paint cans that are like, they used to be $5 back in the day when it didn't get mixed right. That's where I lived because the paint was only $5 instead of back then, what was it, $25 for a gallon of paint. So yeah. So I used to think saving money meant never spending money or spending as little as possible. And honestly, it backfired because I ended up with things that didn't last. I ended up in projects that just made me frustrated and not wanting to do the projects or finish the projects. Pieces in my home or things in my home that I just never used. And it just, that wasn't it, right? So I'm like, it's not working. Being frugal is really about aligning your spending with your priorities. I want to save money, yes, but I also want to invest in things that make my life easier, happier, less cluttered, gives me more time, those kinds of things. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't, I don't want it. Or if it doesn't and I still think I want it, I give myself some time or wait for that thing to go on sale or, or I do a ton of research trying to find a different option for less. So practical tips to being frugal, not cheap. So just these kind of came up when I was talking, but think long term. Ask yourself, will this last? Will it save me money or time in the future? Remember, time is more important. Time is the most important because we can't get it back. Quality over quantity. Let's say it again for the people in the back. Quality over quantity. A few good things are always better than a house full of clutter that doesn't serve you. Period. Period, period. Know your numbers, doesn't matter what it is. Know what you're willing to spend to get the result you want. And really think about that result you want. Really, really, really be clear about what that result is that you want. Wait for the right deal. So, like I said, this one's big for me. I rarely pay full price, but I also don't settle for junk just because it's cheap. So again, I will wait for something to go on sale, or I will research and get the exact same thing for a lot less. I'll wait for the right deal. And then spend on what you value. This might mean better tools, a quality piece of furniture, whatever. Just spend on what you value. Don't feel guilty about that. It's an investment. It's an investment when you're buying or spending on something that you value. Okay, tell me, I would love to hear from you. So have you ever, this topic has come up a lot with personal, family, and friends. I'm not cheap, I'm frugal, but I would love to hear from you. Has this ever come up? What are you? Are you cheap or are you frugal? That's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast and found it helpful, I'd love it if you take just a minute or two and rate and review the podcast. No matter where you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else, your support truly helps. It not only helps more people find the show, but it also lets me know what kind of content you're loving. So if you have just a second, tap the stars, leave a quick review, and know that I appreciate every single one. Thanks for being here, and I'll talk to you next time. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so, so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.